fair value would be roughly half of that, right? That's usually how you operate. I mean, you usually always go in half. Okay, all right. Any questions? Okay, how much time do we have now? 5 minutes. Okay, all right. So, and I think this is pretty much all I have covered. All I wanted to cover. There are certain other things I wanted to cover, which I will cover in the on the day of the review. But there's one thing I want to talk about a little bit. I think I started talking about it in the context of Thijssen-Krupp. So every calculation that we have done so far requires some data, right? Data on the cost of utilities, data on the K1, K2, K3, data on the project cost, data on the cost of land. But none of this is certain, right? We are all costing, but there's a lot of variability. So the question is, how do we factor that variability into our model? Okay? So to do that, the easiest way of doing it is to say, well, you know what? I will look at the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. Okay? So in the best case scenario, you put every value to be at the best possible value, right? So for the utilities, you put the lowest value you have to sell. For the selling the material, you choose the highest value you think you can get. So you get the best case scenario. You calculate your NPV from that best case scenario, it will probably be very high. Then you do your worst case scenario. And let's say the NPV from that worst case scenario is still positive. Then what do? Do you make the plant? Yes. Of course, right? But what if the best case scenario NPV is positive, but the worst case scenario NPV is negative? Now what do? Right? So now this is where, and that's where there is no perfect way to do this. Then you can say, well, you know what, I'm going to look at the average, right? And see the in-between value and decide on that. If you want to be more rigorous, what you can do is, you can ascribe probability to different costs. So you can say, well, the probability of the best case scenario is this percent, probability of the worst case scenario is this percent, and you look at many other scenarios, all with respect to probabilities, and then you take the average of those. Okay? So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And so the way this scenario, the way this is done is, there's something called Monte Carlo simulations. And I'm thinking of giving you a Monte Carlo simulation as a take-home quiz. I haven't decided yet. So in Monte Carlo simulation, what you do is, you have your project description, but various parameters, I will tell you, so let's say as an example, I could tell you